Okay, so it looks like I'm live. Okay. So it looks like I'm live. Interesting. Trying something completely new to do a live stream here since YouTube is a royal pain in the neck and won't let you live stream from your mobile unless you've got what is it? You've got to have enough. It's basically like I think you have to have 1,000 subscribers or something like that. Like you have to have enough to be. I think basically you need to have enough to be monetized, pretty much. So I don't know if anyone can hear me. I don't know if this is actually working or not. Because let's see, I'm going to YouTube on my computer, and I don't see my live stream anywhere. So I'm not sure what's going on with this, if it's working or not. Interesting. And there is no one, and I mean literally no one, I don't see anyone in the counter of viewers. Oh, it looks like I am live. Look at that. Okay. I'm gonna just open it up. Oh, alright, cool. So it actually is working. I think. Yes, there I am. Let's see, I'm gonna put my hand in front and see how long it takes for that to show up. Wow, this is a serious delay on this one. Yep, there's my hand. Wow, that's like a good 20-second delay there. That's okay though, I can live with that. At least lets me get this stuff out there, so that's something. As of right now, I am the only person who is in this stream. So I'm gonna put the shaky phone cam down for a second and maybe tweet out the link here, and just let some people know. Maybe someone will want to show. I'm the way I'm working right now. There's no way I'm gonna get anyone into the chat with me, like special guests or anything like that. But I would definitely love to get someone, at least one person, watching the live stream, because this is pretty pathetic right now. Because I am the only one watching my own live stream at this moment. So that's kind of sad. So what I'm doing is I'm using OBS, the app, basically, the Streamlabs app. It's not really technically called OBS, it's the Streamlabs app, and I'm using that through my phone, and it is allowing me to live stream on YouTube. Now, yeah, there's like a 20-something second delay, but hey, that's cool. I can live with that. At least it lets me do it. Before, I was trying 101 different ways with this old laptop I have sitting around. I was hoping I could maybe make that work, and that just was not going to happen. So we'll see. Hopefully somebody comes in. That would be nice. I could have some people here. I was gonna go through some of my old artwork and stuff, and see if anybody was interested in some of that, especially some of my really, really old stuff. I was gonna pick up some super old art and show it to you guys. So I may still do it anyway, and we'll just leave it up as a video, but that's gonna mean there's gonna be a bunch of this, just me rambling, hoping people come in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put you down for a moment. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I can't just go to be a logo. Oh, that's a shame. I can't just be a logo, like you can with Hangouts. Well, that's a shame. I was gonna try streaming on DLive, because the YouTube thing wasn't working, so I went to do that, and then when I saw this, and I said, oh, it'll let you do it, so I said, oh, let me try it. So, I don't know, this is for people, I guess, trying out their own thing. I'm gonna just put you down. It's gonna be a black screen. I know that's like probably the worst thing I could do to get more people in here, but that's what we're gonna do for the moment. And I am going to attempt to share this with the wild. Alright, now let me go to the good old Twitter. Oh my god, really? Okay, well, let's see, we're going for like almost 6 minutes now, and I'm still the only one here. So it makes me wonder if this is really working or not, but I can see it, so it must be working. Right? Maybe? Perhaps? Is anyone there? Who else? Somebody else must be live streaming right now. Because, like, at least the last time when I live streamed, I had a few people in checking me out. So we'll see. We'll try. I'll stay on for a few more minutes and we'll see if we get anybody. Otherwise, this is just sad. Don't mind me, I'm just typing. And it doesn't matter anyway, because there's no one there. Live streaming right now on YouTube. Come on by. There's the link. Alright, I'll tweet that out. Hopefully that gets somebody to come in. And then let me just jump back. And hopefully... we'll go back to the actual live stream. Still only one person watching. And that person is me. How sad. Okay. Just throw up something in the chat there, in case anyone does decide to come in. Oh, that's neat. It shows up there. So I could actually just do that on the phone, too. That's pretty cool. This is a neat little app here, this Streamlabs app, when it comes to trying to live stream from your phone. I know it lets you stream to multiple places, too. Like, you can stream to Twitch and some other stuff. So that's definitely cool. Let's throw up something here. I'll give people, if anyone decides to pop in, at least they'll see something interesting on the screen. Here we go. I haven't shared this online at all. These are some orca that I decided to draw. If you guys have been following me at all on social media, you'll know that I have been working on some sea life, shall we say. Like, here's this, these orcas, and then, here's something else for you. I was trying out some, like, swordfish, marlin, whatever you want to call them. I know they're not technically the same thing, but they're basically the same thing, let's be honest. So add that. I was trying some other ones, those didn't come out so great. And then I've got some other stuff that I would love to show people if anyone actually showed up. Here's some dolphins. Got some dolphins in here. I'm hoping, like, somebody will see that tweet and decide to, like, come on in and hang out. But otherwise, I mean, who am I kidding? I'm just going to leave the stream up anyway, so you guys can watch it at your leisure. And you'll just know that you missed out. And I did a terrible job of promoting it. I basically put out a tweet, like, a couple of hours ago saying, hey, I feel like live streaming tonight. What does everybody think? And, like, nobody showed up. Like, nobody answered my tweet. And then I said, alright, And then I was futzing around with the computer and everything else, and it was a royal pain in the neck. And then finally I got this sucker working, which is nice. I hope you can hear me. I see there is one other person in the chat now watching the stream. So I hope you can actually hear me. I actually haven't gotten any feedback yet on the microphone, whether or not it's working up to snuff. It should be. I certainly hope so. This app, I'm using the I'm using the Streamlabs app on my phone to then live stream through YouTube, because YouTube won't just let me live stream directly with my phone because it's a pain in the neck. Okay, thank you, Septinov 7 of 9. Hey, I know your name. I see you in lots of other chats. The interesting thing is there is like a total, I noticed it before early, there's like a almost like a 10 to 15 second delay between what's going on the stream and what's actually happening. Like I waved my hand in front of the camera before, and it was like a good 10-15 seconds later that I actually saw it on the stream. So anyway, so it's just me and you here so far. So I tweeted out the link. I'm hoping some more people will show up, but if not, it's cool. We can hang. If you don't, I don't know if are you subscribed to the channel or not? I'm not sure, to be honest, because I can't remember. You know, I've got so many subscribers. I'm just being a tool. No, I you know, like, I don't remember. You'll have to excuse the shaky cops camera that I got going on here. I'm just holding my phone. So what I was doing, I was showing some stuff that I've been working on lately. Like, we've got these dolphins here. I'll go back and I'll show... I just figured I would kind of just share some of my stuff that I've been doing. Oh, here's a Goku. Oh, you are subscribed. Awesome. Thank you so much. I thought you were, but I wasn't positive. So that's awesome. That makes me happy. So you know what that means, right? What I always say, if you're subscribed, you're an awesome person. So I've been working on some stuff, art-wise. I don't know if everybody who watches my channel knows that I draw or not. You know, if you follow me on Twitter, you'd see some of my stuff, or on Instagram. So here's some swordfish ideas I was working on, and then I showed this earlier. This is some orca that I was drawing the other day. I think I just did this last night, maybe. Yeah, I think last night. I think I did this with my daughter. We were drawing together at the table. She was working on some stuff. My daughter likes to draw, and she likes when I sit and draw with her, so I'm like, that's fine with me. So I was practicing some orca. I've been practicing some other sea creatures over the last... oh, thank you. The orcas are cool. Thank you so much. I basically just kind of like Google image search the animals and then try to kind of get a feel for them. Just messing around and just practicing them and try to get a feel for drawing them correctly. And then, you know, I have a little fun with them too. But I actually, if I go back, I have some other stuff. Like, I could show you this. This was something I did a while back. It was on Twitter. It was, oh god, I always forget his name. The guy who does The Ferryman. He and Edwin Boyette were kind of having a conversation on Twitter, and they mentioned something about like the fish stick force or something like that, and I just decided, just for kicks, to just draw it. And then what was really sweet, and I might be able to show you on my tablet. I just drew this just for fun, and then I posted it, and then the best part was, after I did that, I was trying to color it myself, and before I could even finish coloring it, Simon Bennett, who is the he was the artist who did all the work on Jawbreakers remastered, book 1 remastered. He did, oh, you know what, I think I have the finished one saved on my phone, not on here. Let me see. Shoot. Yeah, it's on my phone. Oh well, I was hoping to show it to you. Anyway, Simon Bennett, who did Jawbreakers Book 1 Remastered, colored it. He colored the whole thing, and I was in the middle of trying to color it myself, and then he did it. And as soon as I saw his, when he sent it to me, I was like, "Holy crap! All right, I'm not even gonna finish mine because his came out so much better." um, it really was like absolutely incredible, the job he did on it. I shared it online, so if you follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, I'm pretty sure I put it on both of those. Um, but it was so cool. Like I've been talking back and forth with Simon for months now. He's a cool dude, and he had some health issues and some other stuff, and unfortunately, that's why his backup story on in the new Jawbreakers book is actually not going to be in the new one. Although he did hint at something, like because he's starting to feel better, they figured out what was wrong, and I don't want to share too much of his information, but I think he's back underway, so that'll be definitely cool to see that. But I did this just for fun. I was just messing around, and then I did this. I was like, oh, maybe the bad guys could have like a sunken ship hideout kind of thing. And then I kind of was asking for opinions, and most people said they prefer this version with the hand up out of the water, out of the ground, I mean. And he also, what was really funny was Simon also just did a real quick color job on that for me too. Like he'll do that sometimes. Like he'll just randomly, I'll just draw something, and I'll post the pencils, and he'll just go nuts and color it and make it look 1,000 times cooler than what I actually drew. He's just a cool guy. He really is. He's a nice guy. I talk to him all the time on DMs on Twitter, and he's a super cool guy. And I would love to actually get to chat with him in real life, or at very least in internet life, over some sort of chat or something. That would be super cool. So anyway, I did that. And again, like I said, I've been working on sea life stuff, some fun stuff. Here is a sword fight between an octopus and a squid. And all of this stems from that initial just little back and forth that I think his name is Sean, who did the Ferryman, between Sean and Edwin Boyette on Twitter. And it just kind of inspired me, and I just kept going and going with it. So I did this little one of the sword fight between a squid and an octopus. I just thought that would be kind of cool. Like, one's got 10 tentacles, one's got 8 tentacles. How many swords would they use? Like, I just thought that would be kind of cool. So I messed around with it. Oh, thank you. You like the sword fighting fish? Yeah, no, I thought it was a cool idea. And so I've been just kind of rolling with this whole thing. Here's a little fun. I was waiting and waiting and waiting for my Bigfoot Bill book to get delivered, and I decided, just for fun, because I saw so many other people getting it, that I was just gonna mess with Doug TenNapel. So I decided, just for the hell of it, I would draw this one, where it's just Bill breaking a mailbox saying, "I want my Bigfoot Bill." And Doug's a good sport. He laughed about it, whatever. He was like, "Just be patient, it's coming." And then I did this one too, just because I was having fun doing it. You know what it is? Sometimes something will just inspire you, and you just kind of have fun, and it's just fun to draw. So I did this one too. I really like this one, where Bill's hanging onto the mail truck, and it's jumping over the thing. It has to me, I don't know if anyone else thinks this, but to me, it has a sort of a Phineas and Ferb vibe to the person, at least. I don't know. I like the way it came out. I feel like, is it the greatest drawing of a mail truck jumping in the air ever? No. But I feel like it gets the point across. It does its job well, and it's got some energy to it. And that to me is always a big thing, is having energy. But this was what I went back for, was more sea life. I was drawing sea lions. My daughter absolutely adores sea lions. She loves them to death. And so do I, actually. I really enjoy sea lions. And so, I gave it a more human eye, obviously. Their eye doesn't look like that. But I gave it a more human-looking eye. And again, same thing. I was just trying to mess around and get the form and kind of just get a feel for, the way they move and all that. Same like I did with the other ones. This was kind of the first of that batch, I guess, that I really did. It's funny, actually, quick story. We went to Hawaii last summer and on vacation, and one of the things we did while we were there was we actually got into a big old. We got to meet a couple of different sea lions. We took pictures with them. We got to pet them. We actually got in the water with them, which was super cool. It swam right by. You could feed it. We were hand feeding it. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Like they're really cool animals. They're very dog-like in their appearance, and so you kind of feel like you just want to like scratch them behind the ears. But they definitely recommend not doing that. So that's one of those things. Oh, this was my Shinobi Sasquatch contest entry. This was just the pencils on it. I drew. It was inspired by that Incredible Hulk cover that Todd McFarlane did, where it's Wolverine with the claws and the Hulk is reflected in the claws. I decided to do kind of an homage to that and do Shinobi Sasquatch with the swords, and then the reflection of the killer in the swords. And then the funny thing was I did it, and then when I was done with it, I was going to do very much like the original Hulk cover, which doesn't have any background. It literally just has like a gradient behind them, like a blue gradient, and I was going to do that, and I absolutely hated the way it looked. It just looked unfinished. It was just, I didn't like it at all. So then I drew a background, and then so I took this background and then put it behind it in an app, and then this I can actually show you the finished one. Can I? Or can't I? Oh, really? It's not on here either? Seriously? How annoying. I thought it was on there, but it's not. So then I colored it all. I use an app called Metabang Paint. And I colored the whole thing. And that one I colored myself. Simon did not do that one for me. I did that one myself. And again, there's Goku. And then the dolphins. I like the way the dolphins came out. And this is all, honestly, all this, all this sea life that I'm drawing is basically just preparation for a project that eventually I would like to launch. I'm in no hurry because I work a 9-to-5 job 5 days a week, so I don't have a ton of time to put into it. So I'm taking my time, trying to just like get a feel for the characters and get a feel for the animals and all that. And then eventually, at some point when I feel like the time is right, I'll actually maybe try and do something with it. My thoughts right now are to actually pitch it to Alterna Comics, probably as a one-shot, but we'll see. I don't know. You never know. I saw someone checked in for like a second. There was another person in the chat, and then they were gone. Oh well. I guess they don't like dolphins. So, anyway, eventually at some point, I'm gonna do something with it, and we'll see exactly how it turns out. But that's kind of a ways away. So, I've just been working on this stuff and trying to get the feel down for all these different secrets, because it is gonna actually involve sea life, and stuff like that. So I wonder if this would look... I have another light here. I feel like it's a little dark. Is that, like, weird, or does that look good? I usually put that light on when I'm doing my videos down here. This is my little basement drafting table, drawing area. This, I really, I don't draw down here a ton. That light is better. Okay, I'll leave that light on then. Yeah, I don't always draw a ton down here. A lot of times I draw upstairs. I just use a lap board, and I'll draw because I just want to be around the family. So, like, when we're all together, I'll go sit upstairs and I'll draw. But a lot of times, I wanted the desk. It's something I've wanted for a really long time. And then, funny story, I was looking for a desk. This is around before Christmas. My wife was like, all right, let's get you a desk for Christmas. I'm like, cool, all right, that'll be fun. I'll be really happy with that. And I'm looking at desks on my phone on the Amazon app, and I went to show her one. I'm like, oh, take a look at this. What do you think of that? And as I handed her the phone, she hit the buy, like the one-click buy button. So that's the desk I got. It was here 2 days later, and so I just said, okay, I guess it was fate. That's the one we're getting. And actually, I really like it. It's a good desk. So I'm happy to have it. It definitely gives me a good work area, space to work in. It's got a nice little like pull out on the side there, a little shelf. You can see my tablet. My daughter got me that Game Boy cup as a gift, and then some comics back there. Yes, I'm going to be reviewing Wicked Righteous Volume 2, Issue 2 very shortly. That'll probably be up sometime this week. So what I was going to do when I had this... oh, we got 4 people in here now. Yay! Welcome everybody. So what I was gonna do, I am, by the way, like a really big Nintendo fan. That's why I even have down here under my desk, nice little mat down there. That was also a gift from my daughter. She buys me lots of Nintendo stuff because she knows I'm a Nintendo fan. And so if you want to see my part of my workspace right now, it's not completely finished, but I got my my Lone Star commission that I got at New York City Comic Con from Mike Miller. A little Star Wars thing. It's got posters, and it's got all from A New Hope. It's got the movie posters, and it's got like actual pieces of film from the movie in there. We got that for Christmas a couple of years back. So anyway, yeah, I basically I was inspired by that conversation on Twitter and just kind of like ran with it, and I'm going with it. And I have a story in mind. I'm working on writing the story, so as I have time, I'm writing the story, and I'm working on just kind of getting the feel for drawing the animals down. Peter, yo, what's up, Pete? Peter Samedi is here. Holy cow, I have a celebrity in my chat. That's incredible. I'm doing good. Thank you, Pete. I would totally invite you in to come talk, but I have no idea how to do that with the way I'm doing this live stream. I actually just mentioned before I'm going to be reviewing Wicked Righteous issue 2 very shortly. And I also mentioned that I may at some point be submitting something, and that's what this has something to do with. But my initial thought when I was going to do this live stream back before I had all the technical issues and had to find a workaround to doing this this stream this way, I was going to show you guys if you follow the channel at all, besides just doing reviews, I go back and I look at old comics and that kind of stuff too, but then I also do, and I mainly do it for myself. I know they don't get as many views as the reviews do, but I do videos of what I like to call Jam Comics Classics, and those are the comic books that I made when I was a kid. And most of them are terrible, and that's fine, because I made them when I was a kid. They're fun, they're silly, they're short, but I have a lot of fun making those videos. It's super awesome for me just to go back. I always end up laughing the most. If you ever want to laugh, watch those videos, because I laugh hysterically during those things. At some of the things that I wrote and drew back in the day. So I thought, you know what? I like to share some of my old stuff. I actually have my old portfolio here from like high school. So if you guys are interested, I would love to show you some of that stuff. If you're curious to see it, I will be more than happy to show it. And there's some interesting stuff. There's some of it's good, some of it's terrible. But again, it is what it is. This is like super old high school art that I did. What is going on here? Okay. Here, we'll start with this. This is some of it, it's not all high school, but most of it was stuff that was done in school. Not all of it, some of it was done at home. Sticking with the fish theme. This was something we did with pastels on black paper. We basically took a photo, we used a photo reference, and then just drew whatever it was. I saw this cool, funky looking fish and said, I'll draw that. So I did. And honestly, I think it came out pretty good, considering, this was like a million years ago when I was in high school. Because as I am fond of saying very often, I am old. If you're wondering, I'm 44. yes, my wife is younger, and she lets me know it all the time, because she is 6 months younger than me. So anyway, there's that. And then I've got some other stuff. Actually, you know what's funny? I have stuck in here. This is crazy. Check this out. This is weird. I got this. It's I got this at like the candy store when I was a kid, because that's where I bought most of my comic books when I was a kid. I used to ride my bike up to, it was basically like a stationery store. But for me, like, what the heck? I wasn't buying like cards and stuff there. I was buying candy and comic books. That's what I bought from there. And he had, apparently this guy came into the store and gave him this like promo material. There was like a little ash can, and I wish I still had it, but I have no idea what happened to it. I wish I knew where it was. But this guy, he had these characters, and then he literally like gives you like an entire like write-up of like, you know, the hottest new universe is coming. We kicked off our company by releasing an ash can of some of our characters. We have now released a second ash can that previews our first full-color, full-size release, Hot Comics premiere. I never saw anything else of this. Never. I never saw anything else from this. It was this was the only thing I saw. Was this and the first little ash can I had that basically just, all it was like a character roster and just gave you like little info about the characters. But I remember thinking like, this is so cool. I remember as a kid, like I remember thinking like, this is so cool. I got this as like before it even came out. This is gonna be so awesome. Like, and then I decided for fun, and you can see actually. I mean, I don't know if I should show their names, but it's a little late now. Copyright 1993. Now, I don't know if any of you guys recognize any of these names. Maybe they are working in comics now, or maybe they're not. I honestly have no idea. Just interesting, but I decided to, I just always held on to it. I don't know why. I drew a couple of his characters, just for fun, as a kid, and honestly, like, and this is gonna sound really, really egotistical, but I felt like I drew his characters better than he did. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, because if you know me at all, you know I have like no ego whatsoever. And to prove it, I'm going to show you a couple of terrible drawings from back in the day. Here is some generic superhero guy that I drew who, look at that waist, like look at the ratio here of like what the heck is happening right there in that area. And why are his arms so short? This dude's all sorts of wrong. And then we have this guy who, at one point, I was obsessed, and I mean 100% absolutely obsessed with the drawing metallic, like making things look metallic. I don't know why. It was like, you know, I liked Silver Surfer and all, but like I wasn't like a giant Silver Surfer fan, but like this was, I was obsessed with it, like the idea of trying to make something look metallic. And then like I even drew like, hey, he's on like a nice little bed thing. So there you go, proof that I just whatever. I'll share anything. It doesn't matter. It takes a lot to embarrass me. There's some, got to do that because don't want to dox myself. Got my name on there. All right, Septinov, take care. It was good to see you. Thank you for coming in when it was just me and you. That was awesome. This is just some work I did, you know, just like art class practice. Nothing exciting about that. Let's get something cool, or at least something that is sort of cool. Here we go. You know who that is. If we had to do our teacher gave us an assignment where we had to do we had to draw on black paper, and so I was like, oh, we have to draw on black paper? And now, keep in mind, I'm in high school, and this is the time of Batman the Animated Series, so in my mind, I knew, like, one of the things that made Batman the Animated Series so special was that they started with black cells and not clear cells. You know, they started with a black background and built up on that. So I'm like, we have to start on black paper? That's what we're drawing? Totally drawing Batman. That's what I'm doing. So I literally just took black and drew Batman and then made the eyes white. And that was it. Like, I was done. I don't know what I got on it. I don't know if there's a grade on it. No, there's not. But that was my way of doing that. This was not an assignment for anything. This was just something I did for fun. I think I used like chalk or something. I used something funky on this. I don't remember what. But it was just a werewolf. So even back then, I guess, you know, werewolves had their influence. But I thought for the time, I thought that was pretty cool at the time. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. I've got some other stuff, though, that, like, is really interesting I would like to find to show you guys. There's one in particular that I gotta dig it out of here. Oh, this is a good one. Here, check this one out. This I just did for fun. This is not an assignment or anything. This was done in 1994. And this was my attempt at doing a full-size comic book page. I had a bigger than... it was bigger than what a regular... it wasn't the 17 by 11. It was bigger than that. But I kind of just, like, lined it out so that I knew where it would end. And then I, of course, because it was, like, the 90s, I had to go over the panel... here, this dude's getting blasted through the chest, and it has to go through over the panel. And I did these funky, like, scratchy other panels. But it actually is not too bad, considering how long ago this was. This was 1994, people. So this is just, I don't know, some unnamed dude, is a guy, no, and then he comes blasting through with this giant explosion, shoots this, like, I don't know, armored or whatever, and then we get the, "It's over, Simon. Maybe not," and he disappears. Dun dun dun. I didn't even, like, those were not even characters or anything. Those were just, I'm just doing something. Here is another one that is near and dear to my heart. We had to do, I'm going to hide it from you for a second, and then I'm going to reveal it. We had to do a self-portrait in high school. So they wanted the self-portrait not just to look like you. So I'm doxing myself right now, or at least my high school self. You had to do something that not only did it look like you, but it had to, like, reflect who you really were. Like, sort of. Like, so what I did was that. Yes, that is an alien coming out of my chest. I always thought that was cool. I know a lot of my friends thought it was cool. I just thought the idea was great, like, and then I had back here, you notice a little Enterprise back there. It was just one of those things. I don't know. I just thought it was funny to do. Oh, I got an 85 on that? That's all? Really? Great idea. Shade background. Oh, so she didn't like that there wasn't enough shading in the background? I don't know. Anyway, that was all pencil. But I always thought that was cool. I'm not going to go through absolutely everything I have in here, because I've got, like, a ton of stuff in here. I didn't even realize there was this much in here. I'm just looking for one. There's a silly one I have that, yeah, here it is. This was the thing. Okay, this was a silly thing that I just decided to do. It's like a dude on the beach. Like, this whole piece is focused around her backside. And, like, the dude with the bugged out eyes, and then the mean muscly guy is like, "Is he looking at you?" And then the son is even like, "Ooh, he's gonna get hurt." There's the beach. That's from 1993, this one. Very cartoony, very silly. So that was that. Let's see. I'm sure I've got other like cringeworthy stuff. Yeah, no, this is riveting when I'm just digging through looking. I probably should have prepared this beforehand. That would have probably made more sense. There's what? Oh, you want to see? Okay, you want to see angsty teenage stuff? Check this out. Yay, Evan! What's up, dude? Yes, I'm back, and I'm showing off some of my terrible artwork from when I was in high school. At least that's what I'm doing right now. This is angsty teenage me. When I was like, oh look, it's so like he's a person, but he's not really a person, and he's being hung up on the walls, man. Yeah, so that was that. And then there's this one. I love this one. I honestly still think this is a good one. I don't even need to tell you what it is, because you know what it is. Yeah, like, I honestly, even now, I still think this is pretty good. Like, I'm surprised myself with this one. This was just, what's it called? Like, pastels, I think. It was just like a black pastel that I used, or a craypa, maybe. And yeah, I did that. I mean, that was, I don't know, that probably was like 92, 93, something like that. So again, that was like a million years ago. That was the thing, like, I could draw, like, I had ability, but then, like, I let it go, and I just kind of stopped. Thank you, Evan, it looks great, thank you. And I just kind of, like, life got in the way, and, you know, work, and bills, and all that other stuff that just got in the way, and I just kind of let it go for, like, 20 years, and then came back to it. This was me. It was funny because this was me. There's a couple more I'll share, and then I'll move on. We could do something else. This was one we had to do, like a kind of like a public service announcement type thing. So mine was stop gang violence, and the only reason mine was to stop gang violence was so that I could draw a picture of a dude shooting a gun, because that was all I ever drew back then. I was a teenage boy. I was a teenage boy in the 90s. What was I drawing pictures of most of the time? I was drawing superheroes and people shooting guns. So, what was my project going to be? Like the other project that I showed earlier that was just Batman? This is just a dude shooting a gun. And the whole, you know, purpose for it was just say, hey, stop gang violence. Yeah, that's it. This was a weird one. We did it in pastels or craypas or something like that, and then they put like a black like wash over it, which is why it's so like funky looking. But yeah, I always thought that was just, you know, that was just an excuse to draw a guy with a gun, for me at least. And then here's the last one I'll share of this stuff, because I mean there's more, but like I don't want to bore you guys with too much of this nonsense. But here's one that I was always very proud of. We had to do an alphabet. So, being me at the time, I did a wrestling alphabet. That's right, a wrestling alphabet. Now, there is like one dude on this who is not actually a real person. And I just needed one to actually just get it done so I could get the project done. So if you don't mind indulging me for a moment, we're just going to go through this, because I used to draw wrestlers non-stop when I was a kid. Like, I drew wrestlers all the time, in my notebooks when I should have been taking notes, all sorts of stuff. So, like, I'm going to stand up here and the obvious, of course. A, Andre the Giant. B, Big Man. You know what's really sad? I just thought of something. We could go through this and just mention all the ones who are dead. That's really sad. That's actually really, really sad. We could go through and name all the ones who are no longer with us, and it would probably be almost half of the list here. That's not cool. But anyway, okay. Andre the Giant, dead. Big Boss Man, dead. Colonel Mustafa, who was actually the Iron Sheik, so he's still around, and he's always fun to follow on Twitter. Davy Boy Smith, British Bulldog, dead. Earthquake, I think he's still alive. Mr. Fuji, obviously dead. And oh my god, would I get roasted and just raked over the coals for his complexion right there. Definitely some yellow in that one. Greg the Hammer Valentine is still alive. I just saw him the other day. Well, I didn't see him, but I saw a picture of him. Hulk Hogan's still going. Erwin R. Shyster, I post a picture of him usually on Facebook. It's one of the only things I use Facebook for. Every April 15th, I just post a picture of IRS. Jake the Snake Roberts, surprisingly still alive. That was the J, obviously. The K, Kerry Von Erich. I don't think I need to tell you. Legion of Doom, half. One of them's still around. Macho Man Randy Savage, terrible, but not around. The Nasty Boys, I think they're both still around. The Orient Express for O, I have no idea. I'm just going to say, yeah, they're still around because I don't know. Mr. Perfect, we know he's no longer with us. Quick Rick Guerin. This is not the fake guy. Actually, I said there was one guy in this alphabet who was not a real person. Surprisingly, not this man. He was actually an indie worker, like, way back in the day in, like, the early 90s. I don't think he ever became anything. Ric Flair, almost dead, but not. He's still going. Sid Justice, obviously this was during his time in WWE, or WWF at the time. Ted DiBiase, Undertaker. Now is Undertaker dead? Well, the guy who is the Undertaker is not dead, but he's the dead man, so, you know. Virgil, still going. The Warlord, that's right. You remember the Warlord? That guy was huge. You can't tell me he wasn't on steroids. That guy was a monster. I used to cheer for him, though. We used to go to any event that I went to, because I went to a lot of wrestling events back in the day. Any wrestling event I went to where the Warlord was at, the place, he would come out, and people would, of course, boo when he first came out. And then I would wait. I would wait for it to get quiet, because there was always that moment, especially back in those days, where the bad guy would come out, everyone would boo, and then the booing would die down, and then they would hit the music for the good guy. But there was always like that beat in between, before the good guy's music would kick in, and after the boos had ended. So, especially at a house show. And so, I would be there at like a house show, and the boos would die down, because people didn't really hate the Warlord, they just knew they were supposed to boo him. So he would come out, people would boo, and he didn't have music. That was the other weird thing. He was one of the few guys who didn't have music. And so the boos would die down, and then I would stand up and scream as loud as I could. And I can't tell you how many times he would just pick me out in the crowd, because I would scream as loud as I could. And I was a kid, but like, I could be pretty loud. And he would always see me. He would see me screaming. And he would like look at me. And of course he didn't know what to do, because he was supposed to be a bad guy. And back then they were not allowed to break character. Mr. X, there's been like 100 Mr. X's in wrestling. Yoshi Yamamoto. That's the fake guy. Because this was pre-Yokozuna. If Yokozuna had been around when I was doing this project, that would be him. But unfortunately, Yoko was not around. And of course, he would be, if he was in there, he would be another person on the list who's dead. I feel like I'm like having a conversation with like my grandparents, where it's like, oh, you remember so-and-so? Yeah, he's dead now. And then the Z-Man, Tom Zink. That guy never became anything. He was like something in the early days in WCW, back on TBS and stuff, but he never like became anything big. I always thought he had potential, like as far as being a wrestler. I thought he was a good wrestler, but he just never did anything with it. He was the TV champion, which is I always thought was such a weird thing that they had in WCW back in the day, was a television champion. That always struck me as kind of a strange thing. No, they didn't have to be real. The teacher didn't know. I mean, let's be honest. This was like a high school art teacher in the 1990s. You think they knew who was real and who wasn't in wrestling? I could have had all fake people. She wouldn't have known. But just for my own sake, like, I was annoyed that I had to put a fake guy in there. Because my friends and I were all big wrestling fans, and so it was like I was just irritated with myself that I had to use a fake guy. But whatever, it is what it is. But I thought it came out pretty good. Like, I like the idea. I think you could probably still do this. I don't know. I don't watch wrestling anymore. I stopped watching ages ago. And so I couldn't tell you, but I'm sure somebody could put together another one of these right now if they wanted to. Basically, we were just given like a format to make the to make the boxes. Like, we all had to follow that same format, and then we could put in whatever we wanted. So, like, if you wanted to do animals, you could do animals. If you wanted to do, like, whatever, you could do whatever. If you wanted to do characters from Beverly Hills 90210, you could. Which actually reminds me of something that happened when I was in, I think, this actual art class. We had tables at art, not desks, which I think most people have tables in their art classes. And I remember I was with a friend of mine who was also a huge wrestling fan. We were both giant wrestling fans back in the day. And we had this couple of girls sat at our table. And one day, like, they would always give us a hard time because we were always talking about wrestling. And they would always give us a hard time about it. And we started talking about something. And I'll never forget, one of the girls looked at us and she was like, "Why do you like wrestling? It's fake. You know it's not real, right?" And I looked at her and I said, "Do you watch Beverly Hills 90210? And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, Brenda and Brandon didn't really move from Minnesota to Beverly Hills and start a new school there, right?" And she just looked at me with this look of disgust that just filled me with satisfaction. It was just fun to just get her, I just felt like, yeah, like, I know it's fake. Like, who cares? It was entertaining. It was fun. Like, did I really think that, an IRS agent was trying to catch tax cheats in the WWF? No, of course not. Like, did I think a guy came back from the dead to then wrestle to try to win a championship belt? Like, no, come on. What the hell's wrong with you people? Like, how dumb do you think I am? Of course I know it's not real. Anyway, it was just fun. It was fun to just get a little dig back in on her after her giving us so much crap about wrestling all the time. Sorry for the cops camera work here, but I'm just holding my phone. I need to get either a tripod. Like, what I really need to get is like a good a good webcam, and then a better computer, because the one I tried to use was not working. So, that's all I need. Just a new computer, a new webcam. Yeah, that's all, New car. Nothing big. I actually do need a new car. I had a car accident a couple of months back, and my car was absolutely totaled. Literally totaled. It's gone. It's gone now. It's not coming back. So I got to get a new car. So we've been looking. But thankfully everybody was okay. That was the big deal. I remember I stopped doing videos at that time because it was the same time I had a death in the family. And so it was bad timing all around. And then that was that. Not to bring anybody down, but that was that. It was funny because there were some that were hard. Like, when I was doing this alphabet, there were some letters that were like super hard because it was like so many guys. Like M, right? Like Macho Man Randy Savage. Like, there was lots of other M's I could have used. Lots of certain letters had lots of people, and then other letters had like no one. Like V, my only choice was Virgil. Like, who else was I going to use? Like, there was nobody else I was going to use for that other than Virgil. There's just certain letters were definitely difficult to find people for. Some of them were super easy. But this was like, I loved wrestling back then. This was like the day, man. This was awesome. Like back then was like this was like back in the day. Like S, I could have used Sergeant Slaughter for that. But I used Sid because I always liked Sid. I liked Sid even when he was in WCW, just because he was like a monster heel, and like I had never seen anyone like that. I feel like he was just so freaking huge. I had never seen anybody like that guy back then. Same thing with the Warlord. Like the Warlord was like just absolutely a wall of a person, and like just ridiculous. Like so that's why I rooted for him because he was just huge. It's kind of like years later, my friend and I, we would go to every wrestling event and we would root for the Nation of Domination. No one else in the building was rooting for them except for us. Everyone hated them. But the minute they came out, we would stand up, we would do the salute, we would turn around and be taunting people in the crowd. Like, we loved Farouk. Like, I've always loved Farouk. Like, even back when, in WCW, when he was Ron Simmons, like, I always was a fan of his. So, like, him being in WWF and being, like, the Nation of Domination was just so ridiculous that, like, we had to be in on it, and we loved it. And we literally would go to, like, Madison Square Garden. We would be at an event, and we would stand up and cheer and scream and yell for everything that Farouk did, because, he was Farouk at the time. We would cheer for him. We would go nuts. People in the crowd would be taunting, yelling back at us. It was great, but it was all in good fun. Like, that was the thing. It was all just fun. Like, nobody was taking it seriously. Nobody was, like, genuinely offended or mad. It was all in fun. Like, we just had a good time. Everybody enjoyed it. We were having fun. And the best part was, if the Nation had a match and they lost, which of course would happen, they were bad guys, they would lose more than they would win, because that generally is how it tends to go, especially at house shows. If the Nation would lose, the people around us would all be taunting us, like, your boys lost, blah, blah, blah. And we would, like, act like we were all upset about it. It was just so funny. Like, it felt like we were part of the act. But the best was we would stand there and we would just chant throughout the match. Like, everybody else in the building, there'd be like, however many people you could fit in Madison Square Garden for a wrestling event. And there would be me and my friend literally just chanting, Farouk, Farouk, or our favorite that we used to do every once in a while. We would just go, Farouk, Farouk, Farouk is on fire. And people would just laugh. Because it was just ridiculous. It was fun. We were having a good time. I could tell you guys like so many wrestling stories. It's not even funny. Like, because we were such big wrestling fans. We used to go to every event. I met tons and tons of wrestlers over the years. And honestly, almost every one of them was super cool. There were a few. Really, honestly, I can only really think of one that I had a really negative interaction with. The rest of them were really cool, actually. Like, and that's why ages ago, I want to say years ago, it hasn't been years. I think I've been doing the channel for less than a year still at this point. But I did a video a while back, quite a ways back. You'd have to probably search back for it, where I said comic pros should act more like professional wrestlers. And what I meant by that was, professional wrestlers know. They absolutely know with the core of their being that, and I can't speak for the guys now because I don't really know, but the guys I met over the years, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, all those guys, they were like this to a T, except for one. They know that they have to have the support of the fans, because if they don't have the fans, then they don't sell merchandise, they don't sell tickets, and they don't get paid. Their job is seriously tied to having the fans be there. And they know it. They're 100% aware of that fact. And they don't, take it for granted like a lot of these comic book pros seem to. Like, it's kind of funny because, obviously as part of the show, they attack the fans verbally. But again, that's part of the show. That's them playing a character. When somebody goes on Twitter, when a comic book pro goes on Twitter and calls someone a Nazi, that's not a show. That's just them being insane. Like, being crazy and out of their minds. Like, it's just so weird. Like, I just don't get it. Like, why would you not understand that that's going to cost you readers? Like, that's absolutely going to cost you money. That's going to cost you readership. That's going to cost you your job. Wrestlers knew that. Good guy, bad guy, didn't matter. Like, everyone that I met, they were super cool. My favorite one, I'll tell you my favorite wrestler meeting story. And this was so much fun. Oh my god, this was great. We went. I don't know how many of you guys are even wrestling fans out there or not. But I'm just talking about this, and this is a funny story either way. But it's really funny if you know who it is. Back in the day, they used to do a show live. WWE used to do a show live every Saturday from a different spot in the city. It was called Shotgun Saturday Night, and it was an hour long, and they actually did shoot it live from different venues around New York City. They did, and I went to every single one of them, because they didn't do it for that long. They did it, I think, probably for a few months, I guess, and I went to every single one of those shows. I was there for every one of them. My friends and I, we always went. And it was great. It was super fun. They did one in Penn Station. That was incredible. Every time I go to Penn Station, if I go to that area, it's over by the New Jersey Transit area. Every time I go over there, I think, like, holy crud, this is where they did Shotgun Saturday Night. Like, it was so much fun. I tell my daughter, not that she cares, but I'll tell my daughter, like, this is where the ring was. This is where Triple H got tombstoned and then rode the escalator all the way down. Like, the entrance was here. Up there, they had the dressing room, which was basically just a curtain, and somebody accidentally knocked it over while Sunny was in there getting her makeup done. Thank God it wasn't while she was getting dressed. But, oh my God, it was so great. And they used to do it from nightclubs and all this other stuff. So anyway, the very first Shotgun Saturday Night they did from the Mirage nightclub in New York City. My friend drove us in. We all piled in a car. We went to the show. We had a ball. It was great. We had a good time. After the show was over, we go back across the street into the parking garage to go get the car. We go in, and while we're waiting for the car, they had... I don't know if you guys have ever been in a New York City parking garage before. But if you have, most of them just have like a little booth where the attendants go, and then there's like you kind of just stand around and wait for your car. This one was different. It was a fancy schmancy one. They had like an actual like waiting room area that you could sit in. It was actually really nice. And that's where the booth also was for the attendants to like get the keys and all that stuff. Inside that room was Bob Backlund. And he was sitting in the room, and at the time, I don't know how many of you guys watching are wrestling fans or not, especially if you're old wrestling heads or anything like that. But Bob Backlund was a champion back in the day, and he was everybody's good guy, and then he kind of made a comeback as Mr. Backlund, where he was crazy, and he would put people in the cross-faced chicken wing, and he would always yell all the time, and he was just nuts. And he wore bow ties. It was hysterical. I loved him. I thought he was the greatest thing ever. Because I don't know. I tend to like heels, I guess. Although whatever. That's a whole nother thing. But so anyway, we see him in the waiting room, and at the time, he insisted that everyone call him Mr. Backlund. So we see him in there, and he looks over and he sees us, and it was obvious that we had just come from the show. And we see him, and I just saw him, and I'm like, "Hey, Bob, how you doing?" Just being like friendly, whatever. And I'm not expecting anything from him. I'm just saying hi. Like, all he has to do is just wave and whatever, and that would be fine. But does he just wave and that's it? No. He jumps up out of his seat, comes out of the waiting room. Now, the door, we were on the complete opposite side. It's all glass. We were on the complete opposite side of the waiting room. He runs out of the waiting room, goes all the way around, because he has to come all the way around to where we are on the other side. He comes all the way around, runs over, stops maybe 5 feet in front of us, and starts screaming at me, "You call me Mr. Backlund!" And he's just going off. He's just screaming and yelling at me, and I loved every minute of it. He was 100% in character the whole time. He came out of the waiting area screamed at my friends and I in the parking garage, totally in character the entire time, screaming at us to call him Mr. Backlund. He's going nuts. And then he turns around and he stomps his way back into the waiting room, and he doesn't even sit down. He goes back in and he's like looking at us and he's giving us dirty looks, and I am hysterical laughing. My friends are hysterical laughing. We're all going like, that is the greatest thing that has ever happened. It was so freaking funny. Oh my god, it was the best. It was so great. Like, seriously, it was the absolute best.